Muhammadu Buhari that kept subsidy for 8 years without touching it. He kept carrying it and dropping it. He was like, oh, let me do this thing. No. Look, it was because there were consequences that would come from it. And the question at that time was that, look, are the leaders, do they have a plan on mitigating the effect of the subsidy removal? Let's even start with that. And when every politician, all unanimously, kept giving us that linear narration, that linear position, that, oh, subsidy has to go, subsidy is bad, oh, subsidy must go, because some people are stealing money from subsidy. I kept asking, I said, look, are we ready as a people to face the consequences that will come from removal of subsidy? Because at that time, the government and every other of their cronies and elites kept telling us that, look, there was no way government could resolve the corruption around subsidy, which I feel no. A serious government would have been able to fix the corruption around subsidy. Subsidy is never the problem, Sandra. It will never be the problem. It can never be the problem. Because all over the world, government subsidize things for the people. It is all over the world. Any serious government will go into subsidy to help the poor and vulnerable in the society. And the only way the poor was getting some sort of, something from government was through subsidy. Okay, let us not even assume that some people have hijacked subsidy and they turn it to a circuit of corruption. The question we're asking them was that, oh, so the government could not fix the problem of corruption within subsidy? Because that was the argument then, that, oh, we were subsidizing some other countries because they were diverting fuel. Oh, some people, there's no accountability with subsidy. Some people were benefiting from. And we said, look, is the government telling us that they are helpless to fix the problem around subsidy? And so the only solution was to remove subsidy. Now that we have removed subsidy, look at the effect. Now ask yourself, does the government now have a plan? Have they been able to show that indeed they have a plan, to now mitigate the effect and solve the problem that will come from how they remove subsidy from the one of this government? That's number one. Number two is this, Sandra. All of the money government is now saving from removal of subsidy, how are they spending it? Because now the governors now have enough money to share. FAC allocation now every month over ⁴ trillion naira. So you can see that the politicians are not complaining again. Sandra, have you noticed?
Yeah.
They are able to take care of themselves. The governors now have enough money to share. There's enough money for government. And the question I kept asking from day one of this government is that, look, the policy outlook of this government is for them to raise a lot of revenue and money for government, with the trust that that money will be judiciously used to better the lives of Nigerians. But the spending pattern of this government and the way they have been allocating resources, would that give anybody confidence that this government can use those monies that they are, look, because this hardship on ordinary Nigerians is putting a lot of money in the hand of government. There's a report, Sandra, we touched on it yesterday, and it's important that we talk about it this morning again. A minimum wage committee has been set up, a tripartite committee. In that committee, you have governors, about 8 or 10 of them. You have federal government officials, ministers, heads of parastatals and agencies who are also going to be part of that committee. You have representatives of labor, and that committee is supposed to be facilitated by the office of the secretary to the federal government of the federation, Mr. George Akume. A memo was leaked, Sandra, a memo showing that the SGF demanded for 1.8 billion naira for a committee on minimum wage. 1.8 billion. Eventually, it was reduced to 1 billion, and 500 million naira had been approved as first payment. Oh, just go on with it by the president. Now, what people are saying is that, look, what is a minimum wage committee supposed to be doing to require 1.8 billion naira request? Because what I'm trying to say now is that we've removed subsidy now, we've done all of these harsh policies, people are suffering, so the government is telling people to be patient. What are we doing with them? Look at this kind of spending pattern. See, Sandra. Because now the government is complaining about moves, leaking documents. But what we are concerned about as other Nigerians is that, oh, see, so this is how government money is spent, where people are suffering.
We raised the same question when I think 4 billion or 4 million or so was also assigned for the tax reforms committee as regards those
about 5 billion,
about 5
between
billion.
4 to 5 billion.
Yes, thereabouts. Was set aside for them. I'm like, oh, these people sit down. All they do is come up with policies and say it's operational cost. And when that story,
Sandra.
Yes.
I'm
with you,
Sandra. You see, we can even say the tax reforms committee are basically people who are not in government. They are private sector people, so you may be looking at sitting allowances or maybe accommodation allowances, even though that money was completely ridiculous. We said it there. Now, what will the tax reforms committee be doing to require about 5 billion naira? But look at this one. The governors that are going to be sitting on this minimum wage committee review, these governors are already overfed using state resources. They fly private jets. They have, all of them have liaison offices in Abuja. I'm sure they have where they are staying. They have allowances already. All of the heads of parastatals and agencies are government officials who get different fundings and allowances. Labour also has its own dues they collect from members so they can take care of themselves. But look, at the end of the day, 500 million has been approved for a minimum wage committee. What are they going to be doing? And that was why, yesterday Mr. Kotti said that, look, the fact is that, look, government money in Nigeria is nobody's money. We just tear it apart. We spend it the way we want. Nobody cares because it is government money. And that's why we are saying that, look, now that we have removed subsidy and enough money is now available to government, so this is the way we are going to be spending it. That was why you kept asking me, do we have a revenue problem or a spending problem? We can't be spending like this when people are suffering. You know that Sarah, I'm sure it's in the papers too. I've also taken the National Assembly to court. I always tell people say, oh, Sarah is always going to court, they are not winning any case. I said, look, Sarah is doing its own part. You get yourself thinking about governance in Nigeria. And what they are saying is that, look, it can't be at this time that you'll be appropriating 344 billion naira to the National Assembly without any clarity. And then in the same budget of the National Assembly, you are saying 3 billion for the construction of car park, Sandra, car park. So it is what it is. After Babalola is not saying anything we have not said. The suffering we have in the land are as a result of the policies of government. But unfortunately, this same government that is telling Nigerians to tighten their belt, to be patient with them, has not shown any seriousness as to judicious use of the resources of the people to better their lives. That's the problem.
Thank you very much, Fuhad. Rightly put, as always. There's just a lot to take away from this particular report from Afe Babalola, saying harsh economy propelling Nigerians to crime. Aside from that, the fact that farmers have left their farms now because of kidnappers, something needs to be done about kidnapping, and farmers have to be encouraged to go back to their farms. Another highlight that he was able to, bring out is the fact that due to the economic hardship and all, Japa, which is an unknown development, has also been on the rise, where we have now lost so many doctors, professors, young men, entrepreneurs, business people who are supposed to be in the country to grow the economy. We have lost them to other countries. Brain drain as well. So it's a ripple effect that we are experiencing now, and it's touching all sectors, and also the fact that Nigeria is one of the heaviest debt, continue to further cripple the economy. We'll come up with probably
nothing.
$1 million. $1 million.
I don't know how that committee will even function, because I've been issue. Labour doesn't even believe in the members of the committee. What Jᴏɪᴜ is saying is that, look, most of the governors on the committee did not even implement 30,000 minimum wage in their different states. That even the Minister of Budget and Planning, when he was governor, never implemented the minimum wage in his state. So how do we negotiate with people who don't even believe in paying 30,000 as minimum wage? How then do we present, for example, 200,000 to them for them to pay? So they have not even started the job. Somebody somewhere in government is already looking at 1.8 billion. For a committee that has not even started job. The job is even there. So you will see that they are not even committed to what they are supposed to do. It's about the money in it. These are guys who don't even have any regard for public money.
I've always asked, whenever they put committees together, I don't know. And then the number is going from more than 10 people to 37 people. I've already just had my hands off that particular one. But then
some wastages are going to come from it.
Definitely. I just took my hands off of that. 13 minutes gone past 8. You're listening to the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM. This is Trends in the Papers. We're done with Vanguard newspaper. Let's move on now very quickly to the Punch newspaper. The major headline there: heartbroken Nigerians mourn Wizkid Wigwe. And we have riders here. Friends, well-wishers recall late CEO's life and times. Nigeria may demand reports as US probes crash. He was unlike other Nigerian big men, says mentee. Wigwe, exit of a banking whiz kid. Tinubu Abiodun family friends mourn stock exchange giant Ogunbanjo. So it's not. It was quite a.
It's not the only one,
yeah. It was quite a black one, on Saturday rather, a very unfortunate one that happened on Friday, where prominent Nigerians, Chief, Mr. Herbert Wigwe, the Group Chief Executive Officer of Access Holdings PLC, died in a chopper crash in the United States. And aside from him, his son was also with him. His wife was also there. His wife, Doreen, his son, Chizzy, and also former group chairman of Nigerian Exchange Group, Abimbola Ogunbanjo, was also in that helicopter. Very, very unfortunate. The president, everyone has given statements as regards this particular one, but I mean, our condolences. Very, very painful one.
Hello?
I'm with you, Fuad. Just,
No, I think you said it all. It's unfortunate, very sad one for Nigeria, the Access Bank family. Because again, I saw a video of him celebrating his birthday recently, and he had all staff members of the Access Bank group all singing for him, wishing him well, praying for him. I think the papers have put it rightly. It's a banking wizard, or what you call a whiz kid, if you want me to use that word. Done very, very well. I think he's somebody that's been in our faces as a smart young man with a lot of potentials ahead of him. He's just getting started, really, despite all of his achievements. Sandra, yesterday by Sakoti said that, look, this is a man that's even building 2 private universities at the same time, and with a lot of businesses. But so it's a sad one for the business community. It's a sad one for Nigerian generally, and a sad one for his entire family. But again, concerns about safety when it comes to choppers and helicopters, Sandra. This, even before his own, I think some few hours before that time, there was another chopper accident in the United States. And I think 2 or 3 years ago, there was this one of Kobe Bryant, the basketballer.
Yeah, about 3-4 years ago, yes. Same January as well, yeah.
Yeah, that died with, weather concerns and all of those kinds of things. But I'm sorry, I've always had my fears about flying choppers. Because I believe that the maintenance routine is not as detailed as a normal aircraft, a commercial airline, for example, a plane. I always have my reservations about choppers. I'm sorry, just on 2 occasions I've had the opportunity to fly on a chopper and I turned it down, Sandra. Because I always have a feeling that, look, the maintenance routine may not be as detailed and effective like a commercial airline or an aircraft, a normal aircraft, because these are things you don't use on a regular basis. That's just my own belief, really. And if you look at the frequency of accidents when it comes to choppers, you understand my fears. But again, it's unfortunate. I'm sure this will be investigated, and I think there will now be so much questions on safety of choppers, especially in the United States, because so many accidents coming from choppers, crashes and all of that in the United States and other parts of the world. So our former vice president was almost killed in a chopper accident.
Yeah, very true, very correct.
And we also had a lot of our military personnel who have also died, from crashed helicopters and all of that. So we wish the family well, and we pray that they have the fortitude to bear the loss.
Our condolences. Very unfortunate one. Husband, wife, and child. I mean, it's just a lot of thinking for that family. Yeah, only. I
think he has other 3 children. The only son. Wow.
That's his only son. Actually.
Wow.
That's so sad. So sad. Well, the story is on pages 2 and 11 of the Punch newspaper. Very unfortunate. And also even to Access Bank employees as well. Our condolences to them. Moving on now, we have here on the front page of the Punch newspaper, Nigeria to become food exporter through mechanized farming. And that's on page 29 of the Punch. Sorry, that's on page 29 of the Punch, and that's coming from the president himself. So just very quickly, what the report is giving us is the president on Sunday said his administration was keen to make Nigeria self-sufficient in food production and become a net exporter of agricultural products through what he called aggressive mechanization. And he said, and I quote, Nigeria will become a net exporter of food through aggressive mechanization. I don't know how they plan to achieve this, but Fuad, is this something we should... what do you think of this from the president?
Sandra, talk is cheap. I think Nigerians are used to talking and promises.
Because
and like
food production recently has dropped. I'm just saying.
Sandra, is this the first time you are hearing government saying, "Oh, Nigeria will be a net exporter of agricultural produce through aggressive mechanization"? That line, that statement, I'll be hearing it now. God knows when, and nothing has happened. If you ask me, do we have the potential to be a net exporter of agricultural products? I'll say yes, because of the way God has blessed us with arable land. You understand what I'm saying? So we have the potential, but beyond the talking, can we start doing, and can we even do, or are we committed to doing? It is one thing to talk, it's another thing to do. It is the talk and do part of government that we have not seen. What we have always seen is talk without any doing. And doing requires commitment, requires being intentional, requires a lot of focus, determination, sacrifice, purposeful leadership. That's how doing can happen. Talk does not require all of that. Talk is just about vague promises. And that is so cheap to do. You can just talk from now till tomorrow. But can you actually do? And then before we even talk about mechanized farming, Sandra, and we first talk about battling insecurity first. You can't put the cart before the horse. And the plants and machinery is going to get to the farms when even the farmers cannot get to the farm. You understand what I'm saying? So the first thing the president should even begin to talk about now is that, look, I'm giving myself another 6 months to solve the insecurity problem in the country so our farmers can return to farm. So when they are able to return to farm, I will now begin an aggressive mechanization of the agricultural sector. But first, my priority is that our farmers must be able to return to farm. We are going to weed out the bandits, the terrorists that are disturbing them from going to farm. That should be our immediate focus. I agree that we need to mechanize the agricultural sector completely. I agree that Nigeria can be self-sufficient to the point where we become a net exporter of agri-produce. But it is not going to happen by mere talk. It will require serious hard work, serious hard work, commitment and intentional leadership. And that, I'm sorry, I've not seen.
Thank you very much. Stories on page 29 of the Punch newspaper. Very quickly as well, Discos overcharged 7.1 million customers in 9 months. I don't know. As regards price charging or as regards tariff or electricity tariff in this country, I don't know if we're ever going to actually have a clear way on how these things are actually being, calculated.
This one is coming on estimated billing. We've always said that estimated billing is completely criminal.
Yeah, that's postpaid. So what we have now is power distribution companies overbilled about 7.1 million unmetered electricity consumers between January and September last year, and that's coming from an analysis of the latest monthly number of overbilled customers. That's interesting. So we have so there's a data. So what do you think the government should do as regards this? So there's a data that we can actually get that some people actually are being overbilled. So what exactly is the way out of way forward for this one, Fuad? Very quickly, please.
It's just criminal to be talking about estimated billing. We've always said it. What does it cost to meter the people? What's the big deal about metering the people? And we've always said it. If not that these discos are not serious, prepaid meter is supposed to even be the best form of them getting their money because it is prepaid. You don't use without paying. You don't understand, Sandra?
Yes.
But because they know that they will not be able to fulfill their own part of the deal, which is to provide electricity for the people, they prefer that people don't have prepaid meters and then they go with estimated billing. The estimated billing is criminal, it's fraudulent. But it pays them because they are not even doing their own part of the deal which is to give the people light. Because if you don't provide electricity for people and you use prepaid meter, you don't get shish. But if you provide and you fulfill your own part of the deal, you get your money. Because you don't pay, you don't use. Look at the telecoms guys now, Sandra. See the way they are making their money. Sandra, can you use any of the networks that without paying?
Without buying credit.
And they themselves, look at they are even so smart and so comfortable with the prepaid arrangement, to the extent that even if you don't have money, they will borrow you. Yes. Or you will pay.
Yes, that's actually.
Everybody is you run out of credit, you can borrow credit too.
You are eligible. Just collect, don't worry.
Yeah, and you'll be so far. You go. And you know that when they even borrow you, there are extra charges that comes with it.
Yes.
So that's what prepaid arrangement is. A prepaid billing arrangement is supposed to do. It is sure revenue for you. And so that's when you see the disco guys declaring losses and saying they are not making money. They will not make any money because they are not doing the right thing. And we've always said it. That is what you get when you have vested interest. You said it, a lot of them don't even have any business. They just got the licenses and they don't even know what to do with it.
To do with it, exactly. Thank you very much, Fuad. The story is on page 21 of the Punch newspaper. Moving on very quickly, just from last one from the Punch. Eagles clinch silver as Côte d'Ivoire win AFCON, and a lot of fans and Nigerians have been saying that the performance yesterday at the finals yesterday was Nigeria's worst performance in the entire AFCON 2023. I don't know, maybe they got too complacent. Did they get too comfortable? Did they feel, oh, this is a walkover, it's something we should go and just let's get it over with? What did you watch the match?
Yes, of course, I watched the match, and I don't know whether it was the worst performance, really. I know that it's not easy to beat a home team in a final, Sandra. It's not the group stages, so we're talking of the final of a major tournament like the AFCON, and then you have the home team playing against you with all of the support, everything stacked against you. Yesterday Nigerians were drafted completely at the stands. We are only able to pick one or two people who are Nigerians at the stands.
No, they said that was fake ticket issue. So some people were bought fake tickets or sold fake tickets or whatnot.
So, but what I'm saying is that look, we are playing against a home team, a home team that had gone against all odds. They were almost going to be knocked out at the group stages.
At the group,
and somehow they were somehow. So I knew that look, the Ivorian team was going to go there and almost kill themselves on the field because what was left, it was just for them to take the trophy after going through a very horrible group stages, and then the qualifying and the knockout stages. They kept surmounting one challenge after another challenge, coming from goal down to win and all of that. So I think that look, these Eagles have surpassed all expectations. Now this is the Eagles that nobody gave a chance. In fact, some people have thought that we're not going to even make it out of group stages, and to have gotten to the final, I think what we need to do is to look at what we have been able to achieve and build on it. I think that we have a lot of potentials in that team, but I also think that look, the government now needs to sit down and look at how to hunt for talents. We have look, a lot of these talents are people who just go out there and harvest, who on their own, maybe because they were born abroad, have been able to develop their own talent. And what are we doing about local talent, Sandra? Where are the competitions? Where is the principal score? The schools competition, the age grade competitions in Nigeria for us to harvest real talent. What amount of investment are we putting in sports, to get real talent? We just want success. We don't want to do the hard work. Look at half of those boys in that team. A lot of them were boys who, because they were born abroad, were able to, develop themselves, except for maybe one or two or three local talents. So, but again, I think the team did well overall. Becoming second, it was not a bad achievement. Even though we had one or two questions about their performance, I think overall we should celebrate them for what they have been able to achieve.
Thank you, Fuad. That's all from the Punch newspaper. This is still Milan 98.3 FM. In a few minutes, we'll be wrapping things up. So let's run through the Guardian newspaper and see what we have here. On the front page of the Guardian, I have Serap sues Akpabio Abbas over 344 billion naira National Assembly budget. This is an interesting one. It's something that I didn't want us to gloss over. So the story is here on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. So Serap is suing our Senate President Godswill Akpabio, and the Speaker of the House, Tajuddin Abbas, and the National Assembly at the Federal High Court Abuja over failure to disclose and clarify and explain the details of the 344.85 billion naira National Assembly budget and the rationale for several budget items, such as the 6 billion that's budgeted for the 2 car parks, 3 billion for Senate car park, 3 billion for House of Reps car park. Fuad, Sarah is asking questions that we have been asking as well.
You know, there's 8 point something billion, something that was not even defined at all. It's in that report. Hello?
Yes, I'm with you. Please carry on.
You know, again, like I said earlier, Serap is just getting us thinking. Sandra, it's nothing. You know, people have said, oh, how many cases have they won? I say, look, they are doing their own part. You do your own part of the deal too. I'm sure that, look, it's not about even winning the case. I'm sure in the minds of Serap, it's not even about winning the case in court that matters now. I think what they are doing is to call attention to these things, to get us thinking as a people. And we must commend them for always doing these things. So we don't just sit back and assume all is well. They are calling attention to some of these things. Car park, Sandra, 3 billion. Where they are parking their cars now, what is wrong with you?
No, you know, now
or they don't have anywhere to park their cars now.
Their cars is worth 160 million now, so it's very important to park in a safe place. Yeah.
So what are you supposed to have in a car park to park a car 160 million?
Carports, those things that will cover the.
What does it take to build a carport, Sandra?
3 billion naira.
Because yesterday we were saying it with Barrister Curtis that look, these are guys that before they got into power, at least I can say for sure that there's hardly any of them that was staying in a house worth 1 billion naira. Right. Because hardly what 1 billion can build, Sandra. A lot of them maybe their houses 200 million, 250 million, and all of that. But they get into office,
thank you,
and then the conversation around a befitting apartment starts to happen.
I'm so sorry.
And then you want to build for 15 billion. Sorry.
We've run out of time. So I am so sorry. I sincerely apologize, but time is 8:30 already. And just to buttress your point as regards 18 billion, it was tagged for National Assembly liabilities. That's what it was.
What does that mean?
Liabilities on National Assembly. That's just it. That's all.
What does that liability mean?
I really don't know, because that's just what that's.
How much was budgeted for that?
8.5 billion.
National Assembly liability. Yes. What do you mean by National Assembly liability?
Well, the nature of such liability, how and why they have been incurred are some of the questions that Serap is asking in the National Assembly to give details on, hence the suit that they have now brought forward to the Federal High Court Abuja. But of course, this is Mila 98.3 FM. The conversation never stops, so not to worry. Further conversations will definitely be taking up this area of concentration. But then finally, off the front page of the Guardian newspaper, hardship. States in Nigeria risk total collapse amid rising hunger, unemployment and japa, says a report. That is on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. Tinubu berates ASU and others for criticizing students' loan scheme, says no going back, as also on page 7.
No going back. No going back on what?
On the student
nobody has said you should go back on student loan. We are saying
forward, so I don't know what to take away from.
We don't even know what the student loan is about, the criteria. That's what we are saying.
We've not
even going to go against good student loan.
But stay with us. We'll be right back by 8:40 for further conversations as regards our focal points for the day. This is Mila 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.
Mainland 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial. 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial.
As you see me so, I belong to the Chop Better gang. Now why anytime I want chop like this, I dey put better things inside. For my yam porridge, after I don